Welcome to episode 6 of Perception of Time, Tales of the Road. My next guest is Roky Moon. You might know him from American Sharks. He also records bands over at King Electric Studios here in Austin. He actually recorded Temple of Love a couple years ago. You can check out some of our songs over our website, Last Call and Bury Me Standing. He also has a new musical project that we talk about. We also talk about a little bit about touring, and then we talk about baseball. We talk about the Astros, which I know some of you hate the Astros, but that's okay. You can talk your shit. You're going to enjoy it anyway. So sit back, enjoy, cue the music. Hello, everybody. This is Roky Moon. How you doing, buddy?
Not too bad.
What have you been
Just
up to, man?
not a lot really. I've been doing some recording at home. Uh Exercise. I've been running a lot. I've been doing this. I've been running. I run to the gym. It's like 2.5 miles there. Then I lift weights for a little while and 2.5 miles back.
Nice.
So it's been a little routine I've been in.
Get the cardio going before you work out, and then get the cardio on the way back.
The cardio on the way back's the hard one.
Yeah, I
I don't
bet.
always get that 2.5. I sometimes get about a mile and I'm like, it's plenty. And then I walk the rest of the way.
Alternating the legs and arms and
Yeah,
all
harder to
that.
run back after the leg day. You
Oh
get up,
yeah, yeah. That's not as
especially
easy.
especially here in Austin. It's all hilly. You're like, God, dog. It's like you're running up those hills. You're like, this is misery.
Yeah, the trail behind our place, you can walk to the YMCA, but
Yep,
the one area is the really steep hill. It's
yep. I used to run that track. So like, what I would do is I'd go to the YMCA, I'd drive there, and then I'd work out. I'd do my weights, and then I'd run that little trail back there because you can go down to a certain point and then turn back around, and that's like a 5K.
yeah, there you go.
It's that one that's like right there by your house.
Yeah, it's a beautiful
I know where
trail.
he lives.
Don't tell anybody.
But that last hill that you're talking about going up to the YMCA is, woo,
Oh, what's a
that's
brutal one?
brutal.
On a bike, it's a
It's
lot of fun now.
Yeah.
Going down the hill is
Oh,
fun.
going down the hill. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
gonna say going up that hill, man. Because
Woo.
also where my track ends now that I do, that's coming up to my house, which is on the other side of the freeway. It's a big hill. Same thing. It's like just like a pretty steady, like straight up for a long, to like at least like 3/4 of a mile. Well, maybe like half a mile. Uh, and people will be coming up their bikes on it sometimes. I'll be walking, even if I'm running, like I'm still like, it's hard to get up there, but people will be riding their bikes and they're like, you can see them, they're like
Yeah,
struggling, like
dude.
push, push, push. Shit cracks me up.
Is your is
Yeah,
your is your gym at a YMCA or is it at a?
it's at that YMCA right there.
Oh, you do go to that
Yeah,
YMCA. Yeah,
yeah,
they just got all new machines there too.
love it.
Yeah, it's a
I
great
love it.
place.
It's really cool. I dig it. I mean, it's like it can get busy sometimes, so that can be difficult for anybody that's a workout person. You'll know. I like to superset a lot, and that can be really hard. And I think they even had signs up at one point that were kind of like, if it's busy, like no supersets, and that's just basically where you're putting together like multiple strength training workouts back to back. So you'd be like, I'm going to bench press and do lat pulls, or I'm going to bench press, do lat pulls, and then push ups all in one, and
Yeah,
then you
yeah.
do that however many rounds, and that could be really hard when it's busy because there's so many people there, you can't get on all the machines and you can't hold them. People are like everybody's just trying to get in wherever they can.
Exactly.
Surprisingly easy though to get on like a bench press. Like not a lot of people, I don't
Huh.
remember seeing anybody really bench pressing there, but I do see like any of the machines are like, don't even think about it.
Yeah, and then also the treadmills and the bikes, they're always in
I
use.
mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, they had to put little signs up, on the treadmills. They're like, when during peak hours, only can be on the treadmill for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, people be on those things for a long time. I mean, I don't, it doesn't bother me. I'm like, I get it. You want to get your run in. I need like 10,000 steps worth of like cardio, or I feel kind of crazy in my brain.
Yeah, I need to see a joint specialist because I was running and biking, alternating every other day
Hmm.
for almost a couple of years, but I've had to be on the back seat for a year now. Like
Yeah.
my knees all kind of something's up in my knee. I might have arthritis or something. I don't know. I need to get checked out. But
You know what you could try too, as an alternative. I mean, go to the doctor, obviously, do your whatever you're doing, but uh, I did this program. I have a torn meniscus in my right knee that's still there. I haven't done anything about it, but I did do this program called Knees Over Toes. Shout out to Dave Nuzolo. Anybody in Austin, if you're looking to do a program, Knees Over Toes. This dude, Dave Nuzolo, he's awesome, sweetest dude in the world, and extremely knowledgeable. And like, I did that. This is not a paid advertisement for Knees Over Toes. I don't know anything.
I'll put the logo up in
Yeah,
there. You know.
yeah, yeah. Rocky's a knees over toes shill. No, I did this thing, and it really did help, because it's like the point of it is to strengthen a lot of like connector, muscles, and strengthen your tendons and stuff like that. And I think that there's probably some level of uh with any of those workout kind of things, like I'm sure that somebody has debunked some portion of it, and I don't really care about all that bullshit.
Yeah.
The stuff that I did help a lot, because I strengthened my like your tibial muscle, Am I saying, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Your, like, whatever, your shin muscles,
Hmm.
and some of this, like some of the other, like, multiple parts of your quad. So it helped a lot. It made running a lot easier. And I had already been running, but it made it even better. And then, I ran a half marathon last year,
Yeah.
and with the torn meniscus and everything, and I felt totally fine. Never have
Right
had
on.
never had a problem. So
I
anyway,
might I might look into that because yeah, I miss running and riding the bike. I mean, the bike I could probably still do, but
yeah,
like you said, it helps clear the cobwebs when you go on a
yeah,
run.
it's just nice. Yeah, you get to think, and you get to kind of like get all that crazy energy out.
Yeah, which
Your listeners
always
right now are probably like, what the are they talking about?
what kind of shit are they going on about over here?
Yeah.
Are you working on anything musically right now?
So I've been working on this, like, it's just it's actually now on my second album. It's okay, so I haven't released anything. I'm on my second album of uh it's like my own stuff, and it's stuff that I've written all by myself, and then I have like some people that I play with. Like, I have a friend who I've been playing music. He's a phenomenal guitar player I've been playing music with since we were kids. Like, I mean, teenagers. We started our first band together, and so he's been helping me. It's sort of like a mix between Queen meets like Bowie meets Electric Light Orchestra, something like that. It meets like Sweet. It's like very glammy, and also, very 70s glam.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you're
And
playing, you're doing the vocals, guitar, and
whenever I play live, I'm just gonna sing. But on the recordings, yeah, I play like all the rhythm guitar parts, and then I kind of like brought in other people. So like Aaron does all. He's a really great guitar player, so he does all the. I'll have him do all the lead stuff, and then my friend Justin Smith, incredible bassist. Like, he came in and did the bass. My friend Ryan Greenblatt on drums, and also it's like a bunch of ringers. It's like a bunch of people that I was like, this, these are people that I played music with before, except for Ryan. I had never played with Ryan before, but I'd seen him play drums, and I was like, geez Louise. He's like one of those dudes you're like, that's like a pro drummer.
oh yeah,
So I was like, he'll get it. Just get him in the studio, let him do it. But I had programmed all the drums at first. I like to I like to write full songs, and I'll even like have like a template solo. So like, I actually just finished a new song today, and in the song, there's a solo, and then I'll just kind of be like, make that better, you know.
No, I that's what I like to do too. Like
Yep.
ever since the pandemic, I've gotten into this. When I write, I like to be alone, and then I like to just do all the guitars, do a program, drums. I'll add a
Yeah.
bass track. If I'm singing, I'll do the vocals and I add all my stuff. But like, I like to be
Yeah.
like, hey, here's a song. And like,
Yep.
obviously, if someone is, if I'm using somebody's instrument, I'm like, you don't have to play what I have. You can add your taste to it. But this is
Yeah.
just to have a blueprint idea of what I'm after here.
Yeah. Because you're like I'm asking for your help because obviously like I think that you're so good and like I trust whatever it is that you're going to do. But that being said, I also have a vision for what I want this to sound like. You know, like I have done it before in the past where I'm a primarily I think of myself as a songwriter over any type of instrumentalist or vocalist or whatever. I like to write really great songs. That means I could be in a band with somebody and be like, I'm just gonna play bass, but I could write a whole ass song with vocals and everything, and then somebody else could sing it if they're better or it made sense for them to be singing. So yeah, it's it's a what was I saying? Oh, but you kind of have like a vision. And I have been in bands before where I sort of like I had a really strong vision for what I wanted to do, but everybody else kind of really wanted to be. It operated more as like a band, so we would jam and stuff like that. And what I found is that I was kind of would become disappointed in like I'd be like, oh, I really want this. So for me, I've always really wanted to make an album that was like very authentic 70s glam, right? I've just wanted to
Mhm.
do that so much. And so much so that it's like somebody could put it on and be like, is this a band from the 70s that I missed somehow? I'm gonna move this little table thing because I noticed it's like wobbling because it's like pressed against my chair.
I thought it was the
And I'm
drugs
like
kick.
moving.
I thought it was the drugs
Yeah.
kicking in. Just
Yeah.
kidding.
Someone's watching this right now going, oh my God, dude, I'm tripping. Uh so yeah. So I want it to be really authentic. I want it to sound so you could listen to it and be like, is this a band that I missed somehow from the 70s? And they're like, well, this is from now. That's so crazy. But then I'd work sometimes with people and nothing against them and nothing against what we did. Very special stuff. Uh, but I also like felt myself lacking whenever I'm like, oh, this sounds like a band from now times doing like we want to sound like the 70s. You know what I'm saying? As
Yeah,
opposed to it being like I want it to literally sound like this band is from the 70s.
I got you.
And that's hard. It's
It
hard
is,
because not everybody has that vision.
yeah, it is very hard, and you have to really like dial into the like sounds and get that proper uh the proper sound to get it to sound like that. Like take
Yep.
away a lot all that modern sound. You almost have,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that at King Electric, you guys have all the shit that you can do that. So
Yeah.
right,
Yeah, well, that's one of the big things is like I noticed that I all the times that I've ever recorded and I'd recorded with other people at the helm is the drum tone. And that's one of the big things. If you don't have that very flat drum tone, that 70s is very very flat and kind of dead drums. Although that's really popular now with bands like Krungbin is really popular and they had that really flat uh tone. Even like obviously like some other people, I don't know, Black Joe Lewis or like uh what's that other uh guy it doesn't matter. Um if you get a real 90s sounding drum tone, well, it doesn't make any sense. And you can hear it. I mean, a band that's a really great example of that is Space Hog, and I love Space Hog, and I think
yeah.
they're great. But they sound like a '90s band that sounds like a '70s band. You know what I mean?
Oh
So
yeah, yeah. They got the modern sound. Yeah,
yeah.
the drum sounds on '70s records are bar none some of the best. Like especially the
Oh,
R&B records.
oh my
Uh,
God,
like
big time.
whenever you listen to any of the drums, and like you said, they're flat. They're like just it's just the drums being drums basically. But
Yeah,
when you have a great player, it just makes it like. I mean, obviously all the Steely Dan stuff, without saying,
yeah,
is like. I
sure.
mean, I get it. Like you just want to get that sound. That's cool. I can't wait to hear it.
I worked at this. So I worked in like chemistry for a long time. I worked in labs, and I worked at this water treatment facility in Houston, and my boss and coworker there, uh, Keisha, and I can't remember the other woman's name, but Keisha was my boss. She's amazing, but she would listen to like 70s R&B every day. That was like her thing, is like that era, kind of like 70s and kind of like 80s. And sometimes she put a little 90s on, but like she was getting some pretty like classic like R&B stuff going, and like I used to love it, man. And I'd be like, "What is this? What is this?" And she'd like, she'd make talk to me about the bands and stuff like that. And then one time I remember I put on, because I'm not wasn't that's not music that I was like had grown up on, or didn't really, I wasn't like a big part of like my world. And I had listening to that music, and I was a big Bowie fan. And he has that album Young Americans, and it's like plastic soul, and
Yeah.
I put it on, and they loved it. They were like, "What is this?" And I was like, "Well, this is a Bowie album." And then I got to kind of like share something with them, and they were like, "This is really cool," and it was awesome. She was funny. That Keisha was hilarious. She would come in every day, because if you work at a water treatment facility, it smells bad there. It smells like, as Keisha would say, she would come in, and she was pretty like petite woman, but she still wore like a big lab coat. And she'd come in, and she'd kick open the door, she'd bust it open, and she'd go, "It smells like open booty in here." Every day, "It smells like open booty in here," and
Yeah,
it did smell like open booty there.
in Kalamazoo, there's a paper plant, and like, yeah, if you could, the smell of a paper plant is not a pleasant smell at all.
Yet it's interesting. People are like, I'm like, it's not. I mean, there was like a sewage area there, but I'm like, the water isn't that stinks like that isn't sewage. It's gray water, and it's just like, it's like heavy metals that are in the water, and they smell like that, or
Yeah,
like whatever.
yeah.
It smells like actual shit, but it's not. Yeah,
So good, so good. So
yeah.
you said you finished one album and you got another one. How many songs are on the first one?
First one is 9, and the second one is going to be 8.
Nice.
So far, and I don't know. It's like I keep changing my mind and then adding to it. And I do have like, so the reason that I'm kind of working on all this stuff is like I do have, and I'm not going to say who, obviously. Sorry, can't. But I do have a great label that's interested in putting this out, and some people that want to work on it. Uh, some people that I think it would be really, really awesome. And so it was enough for me to be like, okay, I haven't been, I haven't played a show in 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So I've stepped out of music quite a, you know, quite heavily. I haven't been as well. I've been recording, at the
Yeah, yeah.
studio. I've been recording bands. Uh, but yeah. So it was kind of like I kind of felt rejuvenated. I was working on this music, and then I shared it with this guy who runs this label, and he really liked it. And then since then we've been kind of coming up with a sort of like Kiss-esque style kind of like costuming idea. And that has been a whole process.
Yeah, so you're gonna go like balls out, like you haven't been playing out in like 2.5 years, and you're gonna be like, here I am again, and just go
Yeah.
balls out.
Yeah. And I mean, I have I wish I had them in here with me. I have the boots that I'll be wearing are insane. I mean, they're high heels, and they're like big and gold shiny with like stars, and like it's like a full on glam, like something that Bowie would wear. And like my face is painted up like a Kiss. It's actually like it's sort of a soft homage to Paul Stanley, and like it's like got like a little moon though instead, and it's sort of like a play on that. Uh, it'll be pretty cool. And the woman who's making the costumes is amazing. Her name's Emily Oaf, and she's worked for really great theater companies, Zach Theater she worked for, and uh, she's like fabricating everything from scratch, and it's like it's been really cool. But it's like it's time taking, because we're also like trying to get it right, so that when we come out, the first thing that people see, they're like, "Oh shit, you know, that's really cool. This is really nobody is doing that. Nobody has, that's what I want it to be like."
No, I understand that completely. It's like you want to make sure you do music for so long, you just go out and do it. But then there's certain projects where you're like, I want to make sure that I am ready. We have everything
Yeah.
ready to go, and
Yep.
like straight out of the gate, like here we
Yep.
are.
Yep.
And I think that's cool, man. It's a cool concept, and I look forward to seeing everything. What's the
Yeah.
name? What's the name of it?
At this point, we're just gonna call it Rocky Moon. Like
Okay,
that's just me.
nice.
Uh, that could change. I don't know for sure. I've gone back and forth. I sometimes I'm like, yeah, like I want to call it something. We had talked about me and the guy at the label. We had whenever we were originally talking, I was we tossed around names. I thought it would be cool if it was just called Glam, which is like very very basic and very like duh. But I kind of thought it would be cool because of that. Just all capital letters. It's just Glam, and it sounds like a glam album. But um, I don't know. He kind of made some good points that he was like, that's going to be really hard for people to look up. You know, if you're thinking about Google and you're thinking about this, it's going to be hard to for people to. I get it. I get annoyed. My name is not obviously my real name. My government name is not Rocky Moon. Uh, the I spell it Roky as an homage to Rocky Erickson,
Mm-hmm.
and most people don't know who he is. So then people are like, it's missing the C, and I'm like, no, I know it's okay. So I'm like, do I want to imagine myself putting out an album and like doing touring potentially and like doing stuff with it and then having to like explain that all the time?
Well, regardless, you as an artist, you always have to explain your stuff, no matter what you do.
That's
It,
true. You're right.
it
Yeah.
never escapes. You always got to.
American Sharks, nobody could ever understand what I was saying. They're like, what? And I'm like, it's American Sharks. And they're like, it's Amerigo Sharks. And I'm like, yes.
Do
Whatever you want it to be. I don't care.
Do you miss playing live?
Um, some aspects of it I do. Um, but the thing is that like, I feel like, so with American Sharks, I feel like I had, uh, experienced a lot of what I could experience. Like we played, you know what I'm talking about. It's like you've played some really great shows. I mean, like you have with Destroyer of Light, you've played on once you've played on like some certain like I mean this is just gonna sound really fucking someone is gonna be like, you fucking dickhead. And that's not and I am a dickhead, and that's fine. I mean I am that is true. This is true. This is very like, oh, poor Prince didn't get his, or he's so tired of having money. It's not really it's just that it's like once you've played a certain amount of those shows, like that special feeling is gone. You know what I mean? Like it's not like you're like, I've done it so many times. You play in front of a bunch of people. So in some ways that lost its appeal, and mostly only because a bunch of other factors weren't there for me anymore. One, I got sober, and I had to come to like a pretty hard realization that I had used music for a long time as a vehicle to party.
Hmm.
I mean, our website for American Sharks was sharkspartyhard.com. So like, it's like this is like I had used that as a vehicle to just like party and get fucked up. And when I had to realize that, then I also part of the realization was that I started to realize that I had maybe never truly fully loved playing live anyway. I find it hard to stand in front of people and have them staring at me whether they're cheering or not. Uh, it makes me pretty uneasy. I've this is gonna sound this is kind of deeper than maybe I should go, but I've always since I was young I've always had like a really big fear of like mobs, like mob mentality. I think like I'm really scared of zombies. Like when I was a kid, I was really scared of zombies. I'm not scared of zombies anymore, but whenever I was a kid, I was really scared of zombies, and I think it was because of the smothering mob feeling of it.
Oh yeah.
Can't get away, can't get away. They're not moving very fast, but they're still going to smother you and get you.
No,
Uh,
that's kind of like the whole catalyst behind this is for, bands that have been on tour and talking about past experiences. So the fact that you're sharing this is, a good thing. I mean,
okay, yeah,
if you want to share it, I mean, like, because it's kind of also gauging everyone's experiences of touring and playing
yeah,
live. So kind of give, the goal is also for people that don't do it to kind of get an understanding of how we all deal with it in ways. So,
yeah. Well, yeah, and I can definitely touch a little bit more on that. So, uh, that feeling is really hard for me to like reconcile, and I did for a long time by drinking. And I mean, I got to a point where like I could not step on stage without getting hammered. And all this coming to a head whenever I had a straight up mental breakdown on stage at Sound on Sound Fest here in Austin. It used to be called Fun Fun Fun, and then they changed it to Sound on Sound, and it was this whole thing. And yeah, and that was the last day I drank. Um, I was fortunate enough to have a really great partner, Cece, who I love. You know Cece
oh yeah,
very
love
well.
CC. Yeah,
Yeah, and she had she stuck with me and showed me support, even though I had honestly treated her like dog shit. Not like she deserved to be treated, that's for sure, but she gave me an opportunity to show that I could change, and I did, and she supported me, and that was really great. So through that time period, I've been sober for coming on 9 years. In between there, I still played music. It slowed down considerably. I mean, at that point, from Sound on Sound, that was like the peak of American Sharks. We had just put out an album, 2 years before, 3 years before, maybe. That did pretty well. We were touring a lot, opening for a lot of big bands. Uh, and then we had a second album coming out on BMG. Uh, so we had like a lot of like high expectations, and we had recorded this album in a idiotic way. Instead of taking the money that they gave us, they had so graciously given us about $20,000 to record this album.
damn.
And yeah, and instead of taking that money and going to the studio and recording an album like we should have, we instead were like, let's spend a little bit of the money on equipment to record ourselves, and then we'll spend the rest of the money on drugs.
Oh, so you
So
went the volume 4 route.
yeah, yeah, and let me tell you, that album sucks. I think that there's some good stuff there, like this, like there's some good songs, some songs that I really like. Some stuff in there that I like. This is actually like me pouring my heart out a little bit. I wrote a really great song about my dog, who I love, uh, but it didn't really resonate. The mixes were, the recordings were bad. I mean, we were just sitting at, I mean, what can you expect from like, we had someone George just doing drugs and sitting around. So anyway, we don't have to talk about that. But the point of what I'm saying is that like the we were at a point here where like there was big expectations, and it was either we were going up to the next level or we were going to have to go down, and we went down. And and then everything kind of slowly, it was such a slow like falling off this cliff. It was like you could just imagine this guy just bloop, bloop, and he's like, I might stop, nope, I'm just keep falling off the cliff. Funny enough though, I mean, it's like at our last like couple of shows that we played were some of the biggest shows that we've ever had. Like we were still maintaining like a good fan base, but like there was nothing there. There was no heart, there was no energy, there was no like reason to do this. And part of that was because I had realized that uh, without drinking, I didn't know that this was something that I could do or that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I spent the last few years away from music completely in terms of playing. And during that time, I did a lot of soul searching. And I think I've come back around to being like, yeah, music is a part of me, and I need to experience that. Maybe now in a different way, obviously.
One recording bands at King Electric, has that kind of helped bring it back to you as well? Like getting
Yeah.
involved in the studio and doing that?
Yeah, in a couple of different ways. And for the sake of being candid and like, I'm in group therapy also, and part of being in group therapy is like talking about some of the stuff that's in your brain, even though uh, you may feel like you shouldn't say it, but it's like, these are all parts of us. It activated some stuff in me. One, I really liked it. I was like feeling excited to hear music again and having something. You guys came and recorded, and I loved working on your album. It was so cool and fresh and like unique, and I loved that. Uh, I worked with some other bands that I really loved. That band Moonkill. I really dig them. I'm gonna record them again, actually, maybe
Nice.
if the studio's still around. Of course, we don't know. Every
Yeah.
month a new, yeah, every month a new. Maybe yes, maybe no. Who knows? Uh,
Life in Austin,
but
Texas, right?
yeah, yeah. Uh, but yeah, but then it also activated this other part of me that's sort of competitive and like I wouldn't say that I like to work together with people, and I'm not definitely not a person who thinks that like I'm better than anybody or anything like that. I like everybody to like be friends. Like let's all be friends. But I am competitive in a way that like when I see other bands are doing all these really fun things, I'm like, I want to do that. I want to feel the thrill of like when the old feeling of like when you play a show with some people, even if it's just friendly, you're like, I'm gonna smoke you tonight. I'm gonna get on stage. I'm gonna tear this fucking place down. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't, but sometimes
Yeah.
you're there and you just know it. You're like, I'm gonna smoke you tonight, man. Like you're gonna be so mad that you're gonna have to go on after me, Or but it's happened to me before too, where you're sitting there and you're watching a band and you're gonna have to play after them and you're like, fuck, no,
It's
dude.
like they brought the fire. I have to come
They
out
brought
there. Yeah.
Yep, and then you see it, you get on stage and everybody's like sucks, and you're just like, damn, you know. So that kind of got ignited in me again in a way that I hadn't felt in a long time, and I was like, I don't know. I think seeing a lot of youngsters, I was recording a lot of youngsters, and a lot of them are after my time, so they don't even know who I am. They're not that
Yeah.
I'm like not that I'm some big shot or anything, but like I mean, I think American Sharks, we were able to like headline at Mohawk outside, then I'm like, we were doing something right, like,
I
and
mean,
that's
yeah,
not
for
me trying
Austin,
to like,
that's huge. I mean, that's huge in Austin. I
yeah,
mean, when Destroyer Light finally got to play the outdoor stage at Mohawk, I was like, we finally made it as a local band, like
yeah,
it's
it's
a
a
it's a level, man, you know?
it's a rite of passage. Yeah, used to
Exactly.
be emos, back in the day. If you could do emos outdoors, you were like, we're doing it. I didn't ever get to play. I did Fitzgerald's in Houston. When you get to do upstairs at Fitzgerald's, you were there. You were like, all right, we did it. Uh, Yeah, like now in Austin you have like Die Spitz. Like I see like that band Die Spitz headlines at Mohawk, and you're just
Yeah,
like,
they're just
it's like,
killing it.
yep, and that's great. And you're just like, man, but I feel competitive too, where I'm like, I don't not necessarily against Die Spitz. I don't know them, but and not against anybody either. Just like I want to get up there and like and feel that thrill of being like, I'm gonna do so good tonight. Everyone's gonna walk away from here being like, that was the best show of the night. So
That's
that was
part
cool.
that's part of us being musicians and artists,
Yeah,
man. We have that fire, like
yeah,
I know sometimes people are like, "Oh, I'm Mr. Nice Guy" and stuff, but I have a competitive nature too. I take my songwriting very serious and like I put a lot of shit into it, and like
yeah,
I'll get angry if it's not getting the proper attention that I feel like it deserves because I know it's good. I'm cocky
yeah,
enough that I know my songs are good,
yeah,
and so I think it's in all of us, We put a lot of passion and a lot of ourselves into what we do. So
yep,
it's kind of like you want to go out there and you want to fucking give it to the people, or you're like, we're gonna go out there and crush it. We're gonna, you just, and then you see other people doing it, and you're like, I want to do that too. I deserve it. I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna get there and all that.
yeah.
It's
An interesting thing that I noticed too, especially you talking about that, how you're like, I know that my music is good, and I would agree with that. I think that you're a really great writer. We've
thank
talked
you,
about that before. I think you're a phenomenal writer. Because you also like, I mean, and I'm not just talking about Destroyer of Light, and I'm not just talking, I mean, like Temple of Love, that stuff is like, that's really, really good writing. Like your
thank you,
songs
man.
are sound. And but one of the things that I kind of noticed, like working in a studio for years and like recording these bands, I never really heard a band that I was like, this is bad. it was always like a lot of bands that I'm like, this is good in its way, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of was like helping me to change my perspective sometimes on like, thinking that, or not one, thinking that bands aren't good because they're not a style of music that I like, uh, which I think everybody is prone to, especially when you're younger.
Yeah.
Uh, Somebody's playing, whatever, pop punk, and you're like, I don't like, they suck. And you're like, well, they don't suck. They're good.
Yeah.
You just don't really like pop punk that much, no big deal. Uh, but yeah, it really like, and I think that that was another part of like me wanting to step back into music is being like, I want to like, I want to experience like watching new bands like in other places and like being in another city and seeing a band and being like, that band fucking rules. That was so good. They were
Yeah.
awesome. And they're like, yeah, man, and you're like, you're so good. You just got to get out of Des Moines. And once you get out of Des Moines, you're going to crush it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And you're just like, that's your only problem is you're in Des Moines.
They're in the
No,
middle of nowhere.
someone's going to fucking email and be like, what, he hates Des Moines now? Fuck
How,
you, Rocky Moon.
you never invited to Des Moines, Iowa ever.
Yeah. Don't even drive through Iowa. There got a little sign up somehow. I don't know. It became such a big deal that they have the governor put a sign up. Don't even come in, Rocky Moon. I'm like, nobody even knows who I am. They're like, we do, and we hate your ass. Uh, but yeah, yeah. So anyway, uh, I feel excited again. I feel invigorated, reinvigorated, and like just ready to kind of like explore again. But I will say, and if there are people who aren't listen or who are listening to this that aren't sure like uh what the experience is or whatever, I always tell people this in the studio, especially whenever I have young bands, I kind of always just say like, uh one, be wary of like just think about the people that you're in a band with before you, and then this is not a reason to not tour. This is the stuff to like prepare you for what you're going to experience for real. The real experience of touring is that you will live in a van that is the size of a, you know, you know what a van is like. It's the size of a van. You're going to live in that van with a handful of other people, and you're going to be in those close quarters for the majority of your life for however many years you're touring.
Yep.
So, and unless you end up getting a bus, but the majority of your life is sitting in that van because you're driving all day, every day. So if you can handle that, and you may think that you can at first, and you might find out that you can't, just prepare yourselves to be honest with each other and like and be kind to each other. You know,
Yeah.
it's really easy to fall out of, especially if you're drinking and partying because you get the hangover and you're just like, shut the fuck up. But be
Yeah.
kind to each other and remember that like y'all are sitting in that van and you're doing an amount of like psychological and emotional damage to each other whenever you're like not, you know, these are high concepts. I didn't get it whenever I was young. Nobody does.
No, yeah. I mean, I'd played out of town shows. I mean, I've been in bands since I was 15 years old, but
Yeah.
Destroyer Light was actually my first like real touring band, and we
Mm.
started when I was 29, so I was already getting so yeah, I don't think a lot of people realize the kind of mental capacity that you have to do this, to tour in a van with people.
Yep.
Um, and like you said, it's good to, give advice to the younger people. It's like, hey, maybe book like a 3, 4 day thing where you
Yep.
like do a regional thing, see how you guys jive. And if you have men and women in the band, see how y'all
Yep.
jive and
Yep.
work it out. And obviously,
Yep.
when you're younger, the partying is a lot easier to do, but it's not necessarily the best thing to do. But
Yeah.
it's trying to gauge how much you can do without it disrupting the momentum or you from going. And it's kind of trying to find that balance.
Yep.
Um, Definitely like the last couple of years of Destroyer Light, we've I was 40 and Penny was already in his 40s and Keegan in his 30s and Mike in his 30s and you know, Mike's sober too. He's been sober for a long time.
Oh, okay.
Uh but we still partied, but our party was like adult partying. It was like, maybe a couple of beers before I go on and then, a couple of drinks afterwards. But when I got up, I would go on a run or, I'd do
Yeah.
something, just kind of take care of your body and your mind. It's like you don't like take a full bottle of whiskey and just like,
Yeah. Oh, I
yeah.
would.
Oh no,
No, you don't.
I've definitely been there and done that.
Yeah, but
Wake up
don't.
with the worst.
Don't.
Yeah, just don't do it. Do a couple shots. Say, or don't if it's not in your if you can't handle yourself, just don't do it.
I mean, the biggest thing is to ask for help. I was pretty fortunate. Like Nick and Will, the two guys and the other two guys that were in American Sharks, they were pretty like they were very supportive of, they recognized that I was struggling, I had a problem, and they were, Will would be supportive, and he'd be like, "Hey, me and you are not going to both drink this whole tour," and he'd try to help me like find a path to sobriety, and so that's pretty fortunate because I also had a lot of people around me that were not invested in that and did not give a fuck because when you're touring, especially if you're opening on a tour or whatever, you're on like a tour package. So there's like you're talking about the headlining band, which is however many people in the band, and then however many people is their crew, which could be pretty big depending on how big the band is. Excuse me. Then you have the second band and however big the band is plus their crew, which could also be pretty big. And then if you're the opening band, it's you and your crew. That's a shitload of people in this big bubble and everybody's bored. You drive all day and then you're just sitting, you get to the venue early, especially on those big tours, like you get to these big theaters or wherever you're playing and then they want you there at 2, and then you're just sitting around and there's nothing to do and you can't really leave because they need you to sound check at some point. So you just got to sit around. And I know everybody's probably like, oh, boo hoo. And you're like, I know that this is like, uh, it's a monotony that starts to get into your brain, and then it's real easy because you show up and they've already loaded your room full of cases of beer and
Yeah, and
bottles of liquor.
you're like I'm
We'd
waiting
have two,
around.
yeah, we had on our rider every night. We'd get 2 cases of like something strong, like, or we could get a case of like something strong like IPA. We get a case of like something light, and then we get a bottle of gin, a bottle of whiskey, and a bottle of wine, 2 bottles of wine sometimes. And so you've got a pretty big stack of booze and you're just like, I don't know, let's start getting fucked up. Uh,
Yeah,
and if you're like me, then it becomes a problem. And then you get to a point where you have to drink or you're going to have anxiety and what they call the fear, which I wrote a song about. Uh, and this is the struggle. So if you are touring or you're new to touring or maybe you have been touring and you're experiencing some of this stuff, like don't be afraid to speak up and be like, hey, I'm struggling, man, and I need help. Because you will need help, and there are going to be people who don't understand it, and there are going to be people who are like, no, come on, just have a beer. Maybe because they don't fully understand like what you're experiencing. There,
yeah,
I'm going to say I never came across anybody that was like, dude, don't what? You're an alcoholic. I don't care. I want you to get hammered with me. I think people that just didn't fully understand, they're just like, oh, I'll be like, I don't really feel good or whatever. They're like, no, just drink a beer. And you're like, okay. And there you are drinking again.
yeah,
It's tough. You're in the cycle.
yeah. It's good to have supportive people around you to help you keep on the path, and
Yeah.
everyone's different. We all have different personalities. We have different ways. Some people can do moderation. Some people are extreme. Some people just like I need everyone's different. Everyone has a different way their brain can handle things, and we just got to respect everyone's path of being the best version of themselves that they can be. You
Yeah.
know,
I've known plenty of people that have, I mean, my wife, Cece, like uh, she doesn't drink anymore, but she was never an alcoholic. She never had a drinking problem. She just was like, oh, I'm going to stop drinking too because she didn't want to drink anymore. It wasn't like, it didn't make her feel good, but it wasn't like she was the type of person who's like, I'm going to have 2 cups of wine or I'm going to have
yeah,
one little cup of wine and that's it. I'm not like that. You give me one cup of wine, we're getting blackout.
Well, that was the funny thing when Mike came to our house the first time. He's like, he saw our shelf of liquor, and he's like, how do you guys maintain all this? He's like, these all have liquor in them. He's like, if I was still drinking, like all this would be gone within a week.
Yep.
I'm like, that's why you don't drink anymore.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I was like,
It's just
if you, the fact that he's self-aware and understands, it's really
yep.
cool to see that someone has that, power, the self-recognition, and knows
Yeah.
not to do it, And like he
I,
was totally cool because, we drink and smoke weed, but he didn't. He was like he was doing his thing, and we
yep.
always that's the way it is. You respect everyone's personal
Yeah.
bubble, and
I actually yeah, after I got sober, we did a tour. We did a tour opening for Guar, and so I was like, "Ooh, it's a whole month. We're gonna be with Guar. Like, they're not. I mean, they're not. They're older now, so they're not too crazy. But still, the whole package is crazy. The nights are crazy. You know what I mean? People are ready to party. And Will and Nick weren't sober, and they were great to tour with. They were real fun to tour with. Like, I had a really great time with them. Uh, I kind of like. I know this isn't going to be everybody, but I kind of liked that I would like at the end of shows, like they'd kind of be drunk, if they were drinking, they'd be drunk and I'd like get everybody in the van and I'd be like, everybody in. I'd be like, all right, we're going to Taco Bell. Yeah. So
you
I'd
get
like drive them over to Taco Bell.
you got to be the
Yeah.
dad. You're like,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
kids, come on, let's go.
I'd go by the store and I'd get everybody Gatorades. All right, everybody needs to get their Gatorade. It was kind of nice because, they had also spent a lot of years having to take care of my ass, like where I'd be hammered and just wandering off, you know. I
Yeah,
I was pretty good at getting hammered and like disappearing and just doing whatever the fuck I was doing.
be the wild
So
card.
that was wild card city, man. That's not always a good thing.
No, it's
Uh,
not, especially when you're on tour.
yeah,
Well, yeah,
yeah,
but I'm glad you're doing good now and getting back into
yeah.
the music and feel like you're
Thank
at
you.
a good place to get back and
Yeah,
do it because you're a talented man. And
thank you.
yeah, man.
Oh, Wendy's here.
Oh, hi, Wendy. Do you go on to say something, Wendy?
She said, "I thought we was." She said, "I thought you was gonna give me some attention." She said, "You're not gonna cook dinner or what?"
Oh,
I
dang. It's
will.
Wendy, is it dinner time already?
She already ate, but she wants me to make my dinner so that she can have. I cut up little tomatoes or whatever, She gets a little
Oh,
piece of
man.
that. She's pretty excied.
You're gonna
She gets
sell this
excited.
thing. You're gonna sell this thing for me right here, Wendy.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
all you.
Yeah. She's a
Before
little
before
maniac.
before we finish, let's talk about the Astros a little bit, huh? You know?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, we're all in the group chat talking every game so far.
Yeah.
Uh, got a game tonight. Seattle
Yep.
Mariners.
Got the
Uh,
Mariners.
how you feeling
It's a
so far?
uh, I think in as a good baseball fan, I think it's wise to remember that we're so early. Like there's so much baseball to be played,
Yeah,
and and I think that baseball is definitely like one of those sports where you know there's a lot going on. The stats aren't telling the story about like everything that's happening. You know what I mean? Like we know that Isak Paredes is going to start mashing. I mean, he's been getting great at bats.
yeah. He's actually been hitting the ball really well. It seems like he's finally found his stride.
Yeah, and you could see it. You could see that he was getting the bat on the ball, and he's patient. And sometimes that doesn't really matter. You're just not going to hit well for a little bit, and that's just how that works. So instead of freaking out, you're like he's going to be fine. It was like that with Hunter Brown. That first game that Hunter Brown pitched, he looked really good, and then he had a little bit of bad luck, but overall he looks great. And you're watching him pitch, and you're like, oh, he's sharp. He's ready. This is going to be a great year. And then you saw it in the second game. He had a great game.
Yeah, he
And
bounced back real quick after that first inning.
yep.
Second inning.
Yeah, and so it's like, I'm not worried about Hunter Brown, and I'm not really worried about the record or like we won. It's funny too to think of like that, having a losing record, but we've actually won two of our first three series, so it's like they're doing fine. If they keep winning series at that clip, we'll have a really great season.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I
but
mean, as long as they can play games like they did yesterday, where they're behind 7-1 and come back and win, I mean, those are the ones
man,
that count the most, man.
yeah, it's great that Altuve is starting off hot, but it is a bummer to see Bregman and Kyle Tucker just crushing, and you're just like,
Yeah, that whole stat that came out, the players of the week, both of them.
I was like, no. Could you imagine what we would be doing right now if Bregman and Kyle Tucker were still on the team and we had Altuve hitting the way he is, Bregman and Kyle Tucker, and we'd just be like, we're the greatest team ever.
Going to the World Series again.
Yeah, instead we're kind of like, okay, we'll see what happens. Ugh. I feel good about it though. I feel good about the team. I think that there's a lot to be really happy about, and uh, I know that the Christian Walker is not Jose Abreu part two, and that's
No,
gonna show.
I think I mean, he got his first run finally. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, I think he just has to find his groove. Like I like
yeah,
Brendan Rodgers a lot. He's been doing good.
yeah,
He's
yeah.
been a good solid pickup as well.
Happy
Um,
about that.
yeah, there was something weird with last year though. It just didn't seem like the team morale was there, and it seems
Yeah,
like it's starting to get back now. And
yeah,
as much as it sucks not having, Bregman and Tucker, maybe new blood is gonna
yeah,
inject a little more enthusiasm into the group.
yeah, yeah. It'd be nice to see everybody kind of get their swagger going. I feel like Yainer Diaz is like somebody who's got a uh Yainer Diaz. Did I
Yeah, you
say
said it
Yainer?
right. Yeah.
Okay. That he's got to kind of get his swagger going, and obviously like even Jordan hasn't been playing up to his potential. So I think once they do, then yeah, like this young blood, and they'll kind of create their identity, and it all happens with Altuve. I mean, it's like Altuve is the heart of the team. So like
Oh yeah, dude.
you know,
Like he's the one like he stealing bases, just trying to make anything happen to score that
yeah,
run, to keep him
yeah,
in the game and stuff like that. Like as long
yep,
as he's showing that old man leadership, I think we'll get the young people
yep.
on board.
He's like our Steph Curry or our LeBron. It's like if he's on the team, it's like there's a lot to believe in as long as everybody can kind of start to get their shit together, and I think they will.
I think so
Our
too. I mean,
bullpen, our bullpen's good.
yeah, we have good pitching. Um,
Yeah,
we'll
Blanco didn't
hopefully
have fun.
no Blanco was that was that was pretty rough. 1.5 innings,
Yeah,
7 runs. Woof, man.
he went home last night. He was like, I was tough. He didn't go home last night. He got in the shower and was like, I like to forget this day.
Yeah, let me wipe this from my memory.
Yeah, we'll get him next time. Golly. So yeah, feel good.
Feel
I'm
good.
making a prediction. Let's make it early. Let's make a. It's on tape here. Everybody can see it. We're making an early season prediction. I think American League Championship Series again. I think we're going to be there. I think it's us and the Yankees. Destiny.
I think it is too. I'm with you 100% on this.
Yeah. And I can't. I hate to feel this way. This is the first season since 2017 that I'm like every season, and last year was rough, but every single season since 2017 I've been like, we're going back to the World Series. I know we are. And this is the first season where I'm like, I'd like just to get to the League Championship Series.
Yeah, we'll see how these new guys gel, and maybe they'll
Yeah.
turn around and they'll be like, "Oh, okay, we're back." You know.
Yeah. Yeah. We got a great we have potential to have a great defense, especially infield defense is like maybe the most solid we've had in a long time. So
Oh
like,
yeah, yeah.
you know,
Paredes is a great third baseman,
yeah.
and
Walker's a great
Rogers
first baseman. Rogers
Rogers
looking
is a good
great.
second baseman, and
Pena.
yeah, Dubon can play anywhere. So
Dubon. Yeah, and I think Jake Myers has a shot to win a Gold Glove in the
Dude, Jake,
outfield. I think that
yeah, Jake Myers is looking good this year so far.
yeah,
Hopefully can maintain.
yep. And then if Cam Smith and I don't know if the Jose Altuve experiment, we'll see how it goes. I saw that he's playing second base tonight.
Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean
but
it's cool of him to like do what he can for the team to
yeah,
move. It seems like he'll get there, but he's like a small guy
yeah.
for an outfielder for sure.
If it wasn't for Jordan, I mean, he'd be a DH. Like that's probably where he belongs. But it's like with Alvarez, it's like we got to protect Alvarez,
At all
so he's got to be in
costs.
that DH. Yep. So
Especially
he's
when he
sitting in
hits
that DH.
especially when he hits homers like last night.
Whoo, baby.
That was a
I'm
good one.
saying. I'm telling you, I couldn't
Yep.
believe it.
I'm actually gonna call this too. The American League Championship will be Astros Tigers again.
Oh, okay. All right.
Astros and Tigers.
You're gonna be torn. You're like, what do I do?
Hey, either
What?
way, I win.
Yep. Yep.
But like Tigers have a really good team right now. They just spanked the Yankees today,
Yeah. I didn't
six to
see.
two.
I got your boy Colt Keith on my fantasy team. He's
He's
not been doing
good.
too good, but he's
He's all
coming. He's
right.
coming around.
He's
He's
coming
coming around
around.
now. I
Yeah,
think he'll be really good. There, everyone was kind of hoping that this might be a breakout for him, so maybe it will.
we'll see.
Lots of season left.
Lots of season left, man.
What's up with those Lions?
Oh yeah.
What's gonna
Uh,
happen?
well, so some players got some new numbers. My boy Gibbs, my favorite guy, he's now number 0, so he's no longer 26.
Oh,
But I feel good about him. We got Aiden Hutchinson back. A lot of the players that are like heart of the team are still there. So
yeah.
I feel like we have the potential to make run it back and hopefully get to the Super Bowl. I have faith. Super Bowl,
Yeah.
Detroit Lions,
Okay. I was
2026.
thought that this was it. I thought this was it for you this year.
If we didn't have all those defensive injuries, we would have made it easily. But man, the fact that
Yeah.
we made it as far as we did with as many defensive
Yeah.
injuries that we had, you can't go wrong. I mean, the offense
Uh,
had a historic season, though.
yeah. I
I
know it's
mean,
such a nightmare whenever that kind of shit happens. You're just like, dude, come on, man. Like we could have had a historic offense and then all these defensive injuries, and you're just like,
yeah.
give me a break. Give me a break.
Come on, sports guys, don't get
Come on,
hurt.
sports guy. Tape up your knee. Tape up your ankle.
Do more morphine or something. Do speed. Come on,
Yeah. Come on, do speed, man.
like in all the football
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just need a little speed, some steroids. Go ahead, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Do you have any last things you'd like to say? Do you have a first show that you're working on the lineup, or you think that will be in the cards at any time soon?
I would like to have it happen this year. I thought for sure we'd be able to get something together before the end of last year, and it didn't really come together. And things are sort of like really, taking their time coming into this year. But I am like enthusiastic about how it's coming along. So I'm just like, look, it's not going to happen right away, but when it does, it'll be right. Which is kind of how I felt about the album recording too. Is that it's like, so that's a good lesson for anybody that's listening, is wondering about music or like anything. Is like, don't shortchange yourself if you feel like it's not right. Like, take your time. Don't overdo it, but take your time and be like, I want this to be right, because you're gonna get one shot at that, and it's like like I want to put out an album that I'm like, I know that this is gonna be right. And I know that the show will be right. I want people to come away watching it and being like, that band must have been a band for 100 years, instead of like, oh, cool, yeah, I don't know, some new band or whatever. I wanted to be like, well, that was crazy. Am I watching something that's like fully formed? Like, so
That is
maybe this year. I'm certain it'll be this year, this summer maybe. But we'll see. I'm trying to put together a good plan. Uh, so yeah,
that's awesome, man. Can't wait to hear it and see it.
yes.
I
Well, thank
appreciate
you for
you.
having me on.
Yeah, thanks for joining me, and
Yeah.
we'll talk soon.